So that weekend, she was actually doing a photo shoot for her Instagram. She does this thing called Her Story, where she dresses as certain historical figures, Black historical figures, and she posts it. So that weekend, she had posted herself as Lena King and did not know that I was sending this sizzle reel to her. So there were all of these moments, I call them God winks. There were all these moments that were like, oh, this is meant to be.
Hello, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America. In this episode, the story of the only Women's Army Corps unit of color in World War II is revealed in director Tyler Perry's historical drama, The 688. Inspired by the real-life story, the film recounts how the 688th Central Postal Directory Battalion, an all-Black, all-woman unit, joined the war to fix a 3-year backlog of undelivered mail for U.S. service members. Aiming to sort more than 17 million pieces of mail to their rightful servicemen, they worked tirelessly in the face of discrimination and a country devastated by war. In addition to the 688, Perry's other directorial credits include the feature films Tyler Perry's Divorce in the Black, Mea Culpa, Tyler Perry's A Medea Homecoming, and A Medea Family Funeral, the movie for television Medea's Farewell Play, and episodes of The Oval, Ruthless, Sisters, and House of Pain. He was recognized with the DGA honor in 2015. Following a screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Perry spoke with Director J.C. Chandor about filming the 688. Listen on for their spoiler-filled conversation.
How's everybody doing? Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it very, very much.
Well, welcome everyone, and welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We just went on a journey, and it was beautifully, beautifully rendered. I guess the first question, which we got a little chance to chat about backstage, but I've never heard of this story before. So when did this story come to your attention?
2022, Nicole Avant, whose father is Clarence Avant. She's just a brilliant producer. She called me up and she sent me a sizzle reel, and I'm sitting there watching the reel going, this can't be true. There were 855 Black women and women of color in World War II No way. They actually went to Europe. She's like, yeah, it's a true story. And she told me that there were there were several living survivors at the time, but one was really close in Las Vegas, Lena Derricott King, who Ebony Obsidian plays in the movie, and you see her at the end of the film. So I immediately flew over to meet with her. They told me she was 99 years old. I'm going, okay, you're 99. I better get over here right now. And as I get there, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what a recall would be. I didn't know what kind of person she was going to be. And
this is who we saw at the end
of the movie. Yeah. So I'm waiting for this woman to come in. I'm thinking, is her nurse going to bring her in? And here she is. She comes in, and it is Lena Derricott King, 99, clear as a bell. Her memory was so sharp. And so I started talking to her, and I was asking her about her experience. And the first thing she started talking about was Abram, the young Jewish boy she was a friend with. And she didn't tell me at the time that there was a romantic thing there, but she did admit it a little later on. But you know, women of that day, they didn't talk. Right. So not like today. They say everything on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere else. But anyway, she started telling me the story, and when she mentioned Abram, all of the emotion was in her eyes. And some 80 years later, all of the emotion was in her eyes. I was like, wow, this is phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so obviously at this point in your career, you have the power to be able to go make a story if it touches you that way. The writing side of this, I know we're in the DGA here, but how do you tackle this story? It's obviously insanely complicated. You've got all these different characters. You've got historical, real characters. You've got a tell a story in 2 hours. Talk us through a little bit of the your writing process.
It's 95% accurate, this story. Kerry Washington, Kerry's here somewhere. Hi, Kerry Washington. Give Kerry some applause, everybody. She's back there in the back. Kerry says it's 97% accurate, but it was having Lena have such recall, and she was telling me so much of what had happened. I hired a historian, and I asked him to verify everything she said, and he said she's dead on. Times, dates, years, this is what was happening. Wow. Her accuracy was that incredible. So once I sat with her, I knew she was the way in. But as a writer, I opened myself up to hear, and ain't nothing like hearing 855 women start talking at once. So I just okay, let me try and narrow this down to a story that I can manage and tell. And I just thought I'm just going to follow Lena through her journey as she told me, and how much respect and regard that she had for Charity Adams, who was 26 years old at the time.
I was going to ask. So Charity was 26.
Yeah, and Lena was 17 or 18 when she went in. Yeah, so all these women were really, really, really young, and to have this moment where I'm following her story in, and I wanted to just be in her eyes of everything she saw, or everything she told me about, or the things she heard about from other women. I thought it was just that's the way in to tell the story. That's the way in for me, anyway.
And at that point, just tell us a little bit about your process. You literally I'm a huge fan, by the way, as a filmmaker, what you've been able to accomplish, and it's been the coolest career to watch in my lifetime. Just the way you have. I'd love to sit here and talk to you about all of that, but this film's while we're here.
I appreciate that.
But it's just to let us into your process. So you've got that, the historian's feeding that, and then you go sit in a room and bang this out, basically?
Yeah. I went away. I have a place in Wyoming that I went to, and it's so quiet there. Hummingbirds sound like jet engines. Yeah. So I need that kind of quiet and stillness to be able to write. So I just started writing, and this is the story that came to me. I sent the first draft to Carrie Seelig, who's a producer on the movie, and Nicole Avant, and we went through a round of notes, and I'm like, okay. And a couple of days later, I sent them back the next draft, and then we went through a round of notes again, and we had sent them, and then we had the script, and I was off and running. Before we even had the deal with Netflix, I was before we even had, they said yes. Netflix was like, yes, we'll do it. But I was already down the road, because I only had a certain window to shoot. Right. And also I wanted Lena to see the film, and she was 99. I wanted her to see it. Yeah. So I wanted to do it now. So I had spent a ton of money before we even got to contract.
Wow.
Because I was going, train was moving. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Casting. So I'm a little embarrassed now. My next question, if Carrie's in here, but that role, obviously, that Kerry plays is a woman who presumably 20. I didn't know she was only 26. That sort of changes all my questions. But her life up to that point, there's probably a movie just in that, to how she got to where we then meet her here. I mean, what an unbelievable life. But as a logistics, essentially like this logistical challenge that she takes on, finding the right person to play that, talk us through a little bit without embarrassing her sitting here.
She's hard to embarrass. For me, the very first thing that I do when I'm writing is I'll hear voices or hear people or saying things and see faces. And every time I type Charity or wrote a sentence or a line, some dialogue for Charity, I saw Kerry. I saw her over and over again. And I sent her this sizzle reel. I said, listen, when you get a minute, let's talk about this. She said, okay, I'll get to Monday. I've got some things going on this weekend. And she's like, okay, let's talk Monday. So that weekend, she was actually doing a photo shoot for her Instagram. She does this thing called Her Story, where she dresses as certain historical figures, Black historical figures, and she posts it. So that weekend, she had posted herself as Lena King, and did not know that I was sending the sizzle reel to her. So there were all of these moments, I call them God winks. There were all these moments that were like, oh, this is meant to be. So when she said yes, we were all just really, really grateful.
Right.
Yeah.
All in. The production design, I know we were talking backstage a little bit about your amazing facility down in Georgia that you have turned, but it was a military base originally, correct?
Yeah.
So he has turned this military base into this filmmaker's sort of Eden that you've got down there.
Thank you.
Which the White House is one of the structures for directors in the crowd. So he has a White House that he's built down there. But also, were those early training stages is that like actual military buildings on the base?
Oh yeah. When I did the historical research, I saw that they were in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and I pulled all the footage of Fort Oglethorpe, and there were buildings that were identical
right. They
to
would have been
the buildings
built by the same.
Yeah. Even at the end of the film, when you see the actual footage of them marching, you see the buildings in the distance. They are the exact same design as the buildings that are at the studio now. So again, all these things were leading toward making this movie and having this home seemed to be just serendipitous to all of it.
No, I mean, the idea that that's your home base and that, I mean, it's a dream. One weird little question. I think I shot at that school is that in England?
It is. It is.
Okay. I knew it had to be.
Yeah, it looked familiar.
It's like that abandoned school in England
that they were turning into.
Were all your interiors there?
All the interiors were there, but they're turning it into an apartment building.
Right.
Yeah. So I think I probably was the last.
You were probably the last in.
When were you there filming?
Like right before you, as it turns out, but only for a day.
Who was in the movie?
For a day. Pardon?
Who was in the movie?
It's actually out right now. It's a small little scene that we shot there for like a half a day, but I recognized it perfectly.
No, let me tell you what's funny, because I was scouting, I think, and I came to the school and you were filming.
Oh my God.
And they wouldn't let me in. They were like, "It's COVID. I'm sorry, we're not letting you in."
COVID.
It was COVID. Yeah,
we were.
That was you. You kept me. You locked me out.
Sorry,
you JC. Now I know it was you. Okay.
Well, I'm glad you got in because it worked so beautifully, and that school was so creepy because it had been abandoned for years. So obviously, you guys were.
I'm glad you warmed it up.
Was that the actual interior, the main room where you did all the all the mail work? And everything?
No, I needed to find that room. So in the historical footage, there is an image of where they sorted the mail at the King Edward School, but that wasn't in that building.
I thought that wouldn't have matched because that church at that place was creepy.
Yeah.
This was a much more dramatic, beautiful.
This was in Berry College in right outside of Georgia, Rome, Georgia. Okay. They have a beautiful auditorium that looked just like the photos.
It matches. It's a beautiful match. So a little bit back to these women, these unbelievable heart of this story. So I know what I feel having just watched the film, but how did they do it? What do you think that they had in their spirit that everyone else had failed at this task? I mean, talk me through a little bit in having met some of them. Was it just they were not going to fail? Or, I mean, obviously there was some special skills that all lined up in a beautiful way, it seemed like. But
yeah, exactly. And as Alina was telling me about some of those skills, all of them were brought to bear. And I think that what is important to in the storytelling, because the first thing Kerry and I talked about, well, how do you tell a story about the mail? I'm like, the mail. But if you look at it from today's modern times, you think, okay, it's not that important. But remembering that the mail was everything during that time, that's the only way you could find out if somebody had lived or died in the battle for the most part. So to make the mail a character was really important to me in the writing and in the directing. And also with all of the women, the actors that I hired, I wanted to hire this new crop of talent that would come up and hopefully go on to do amazing things and anchor them with someone like Kerry. Right. And I pushed and challenged and just asked her to resist everything she knew because she had played all these incredible characters. I mean, from Olivia Pope to, she's the last King of Scotland, all these incredible characters she played. So to have her be an actor and a director, and me be clear about what I thought the character should be, and her diving so deep into Charity Adams' book and finding out everything about her, and then bringing that to set. We worked on it together, and to be able to have these moments where if I felt for 1 second that I saw something that reminded me of someone else, I'd be like, let's see if we can do something different. She's like, okay, let's do it. She was open to the whole thing. And I think that's why her performance is so phenomenal and unrecognizable. If it wasn't Kerry Washington, her face, you wouldn't know because she was Charity Adams. So it was really phenomenal in all of her acting. But your question was more about about the women and what they did and how they got it done. And I can tell you, everybody talks about racism now, but that was very different for these women because they didn't have laws to protect them. Right. They didn't have the right to vote, but what they had was their integrity and their dignity and their ability to get things done. And for them to be put in this situation and underestimated, and then not only deliver but over deliver, because after they finished in England, they went on to Rouen, France, and cleared another backlog of mail. So they were heroes to many. But unfortunately, when they came home, a lot of them didn't talk about it. And no one knew about the story because there was all the shame around them, because in this time, there were reports and newspaper reports and family members and people in America saying the only reason these black women went to Europe was to be concubines for the black soldiers. And that was the agenda of some of the generals, because they were very upset that black men were dating white European women, and they wanted that to stop. So a lot of the women, when they came home, they did not talk about it. They did not. Their own children, for the most part, didn't know. And this incredible story happened when we were on the red carpet for the premiere. I had them put all 855 names on the red carpet because I wanted all of them to feel like they were on the carpet. And there was a journalist there who was talking about her aunt and how she wouldn't talk about her service, but she had a feeling she may have been a part of the 6888. So she went to the board and found her name and was emotional and in tears because she'd never heard. She'd never heard it because there was so much shame for a lot of the women. I mean, Charity Adams came back to America and went to work at Macy's. There was no fanfare. So at the end, I took the liberty with the salute because first of all, her saying "over my dead body," that happened. The chaplain, that happened. Abram, that happened. He died as soon as he got there in battle. So it's about a lot of it is really, really accurate. But at the end, I took the liberty with the salute because what I wanted that to represent was all of the 855 women getting a chance to be saluted. Because what happened, in actuality, there were only six or seven who were recognized with the Congressional Gold Medal. And
the others had all died.
The others had all passed on by then.
That was like 20. I was reading 2022 or something, or 20.
Don't quote me on that, but yeah. But to see them get their due and their celebration, I wanted all of the women to get their celebration. So at the end, that scene where they're walking through the door is my homage to all of them walking into what they had done and accepting that salute and accepting that applause.
My father's a Vietnam veteran and came back, and it was a similar situation where you kind of just tried to disappear and have it disappear. And I think the poetic license there at the end to give them that salute, hearing that is pretty amazing. Because when she said that in the interview, that we hadn't talked about it in all those years, I didn't even understand. But now, and obviously they had succeeded, so presumably the generals at that point were trying to undermine what they had done. Unbelievable. So we might have time for a couple questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Is anyone got a question or two out there? Yes.
That's incredibly kind. Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. As you speak about that, part of, if I'm remembering correctly, I know that there were prisoners of war at the Tyler Perry Studios was once a former Army base, and I know that there were prisoners of war there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was some who were Japanese soldiers as well. So I need to do the research on that. But thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your emotion. Thank you for watching Sisters, and Ebony having have this opportunity, this chance. When I started writing, I was like, I know she can do this because she has so many levels, so many gears that have not been explored yet. So thank you for that. Thank you. I saw a hand over here. Yes. I appreciate that very much. And you're right. There's so much history that is being ignored and not even written or not even accounted, that I think that if we would really lean into all of our history, not just some parts of it, if we leaned into all of it, we will have a better example and a better quilt, of who we all are. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Yes. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was very important for me that if I'm going to do a movie about World War II, I didn't want to just make it about the women arriving. I wanted to open with some of the horrors of what was happening and the expressions and that whole part. The whole beginning is silent. So and there's no dialogue in it, but as you take that ride and you walk through what was going on in the world at the time. I wanted people to have a sense of that inside of them and what that letter meant and why he would even take it out of Abram's chest and hold on to it, because that meant I needed to tell somebody I love you. That meant I need to tell somebody I didn't make it. That meant something to someone. So that's why it's so important. Yeah. Yeah. We got one more here. Yeah. We bought in, two veterans who were military consultants to us to make sure that we had everything right. I didn't go directly to any of the branches. What we did was, once we finished, we've been showing it to them. We took it to the USO and been showing it to different branches because we want people to see it and understand it. But to make sure the accuracy was there, we did have military consultants. And the march was so important to me to get right. I bought in Debbie Allen because as I was watching the footage at the end, you see the black and white footage. They are perfect. So I had Debbie Allen. I said, no, that's dance. That's choreography. So I had Debbie Allen come in and work with that as she worked with the military coordinators who helped us get it completely right. And that's why it turned out the way that it did. That's right. Right. Again, dancers. I mean, that's why. And we had those moments.
Shot the part where they came through the streets. Is that?
It's Leeds. We were in Leeds, outside of London. So we were Leeds, and we had the streets done and torn apart to look that way. When I first saw it, I saw the images of what we were trying to do, but when I stepped out of the car and saw it, I was just like, oh, I was there.
Right.
I was there. And even the opening scene that you talk about with the war, that morning, I mean, all these things were lining up. That morning, the fog was so thick in Atlanta, I had never seen it like that. I'm like, it looked like 1942 Europe. And I'm just going, are you kidding me? The fog was so thick. And I want to tell you this last thing, and then we're going to wrap up here. I talk about all these God winks that happened in this film. There's this one moment where Kerry and I'm so glad you're here because you can attest to this. We were in the dressing room rehearsing, and I get a knock on the door, and it's a transportation guy. And he goes, hey, we want to show you something. Kerry and I walk out into the hallway, and I filmed this, by the way. Walk out into the hallway, and there's a trunk on the ground. We look at the side of it. It says Charity Adams. It was her original trunk from 1942. He had bought it at auction and bought it to me because he wanted me to have it, because we were doing the movie. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? We open it up. Her uniform is in it. There's a note. There's a branch from her victory garden that Kerry had just read about in her research. So it was really, really profound. And I felt like all of these women were letting us know that we are here with you. Let's tell this story. Let's get the world to see it. So.
Right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you for doing this.
No,
J.C., I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I've been a huge fan for a long time. And, with where you are now, to be able to shine lights on these stories, it's got to be fun, but it also is such an amazing thing.
Can I say this though? I never enjoyed directing, producing anything. I was always a means to tell the story. I never saw it from any other way other than, just tell the story, just get the story.
It's the best way to get it out.
Yeah, the best way to get it out. And I had a chance to sit, when I was working on Gone Girl, with the downtime, I listened to David Fincher and Ben Affleck talk, and I was blown away by the conversation, their love for it. I'm like, I don't have that. I've never had that love for it.
Right.
And I had this film that I had held for 27 years. Because I knew that I couldn't have a misstep. And this film is called The Jazzman's Blues. It's on Netflix. I held it for 27 years. It's the first thing I ever wrote, and I wanted to do it one day. So I finally got a chance to do it with Netflix, and that's the first time I fell in love with filmmaking. That's the first time I really leaned in and looked and enjoyed every bit of, and had a clearer understanding. So between David Fincher and Ben Affleck and a jazz man, I think all of those things prepared me to be ready for the 6AAA.
Well, you can see it. I mean, Fincher's been an idol of mine from afar, but also I got to know him a bit. And I love your performance in that movie, by the way. But he'll get you to believe in that. And you can see it in this, that you don't get a room what we all just went through unless you have that. And so congratulations. It's an achievement, and can't wait to see what's next.
Thank you, J.C. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. The Director's Cut is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And please share, subscribe, rate, and review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and you can help fellow film buffs find the show. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America.